Hashimoto's is an autoimmune condition. That means your immune system is attacking your thyroid. But the bigger question is why? Why is your immune system reacting this way? What root causes and what triggers are keeping that fire burning? That is what we are exploring throughout this summer series. Because when you understand what is driving your symptoms, you can stop guessing and you can start focusing on what matters most for your health. If you want help identifying your own root causes, check the link down in the show notes for Hashimoto's Decoded Root Causes Revealed. In less than 1 hour, I will walk you through the most common root causes behind Hashimoto's, and I will help you create a roadmap for your next steps. My name is Esther Youngkin. I'm a registered nurse, holistic health educator, and I am the host of the Health with Hashimoto's podcast. I believe that your health is a blend of 5 interconnected areas: body, mind, spirit, diet, and environment. Let's look at the root causes through that whole person lens. All right, hopefully you started at episode 200, 201, and you got through 202. In 202, I covered the root causes, which is 3 different things. And one of those root causes is a trigger. And then I covered the 8 most common triggers. Of course, it was really fast. If you want to go in depth, head over to Hashimoto's Decoded, because then I'm going to take you through all of it in less than an hour. You're going to have a roadmap. That's what you want. Today, we're talking about the most common root cause or the most common trigger. And I bet you already know what it is. If you looked at the blog post or on Pinterest or Instagram or whatever, wherever I posted the infographics, I bet you already know. You looked at those 8 most common triggers and you're like, oh yeah, I have that one and that one and that one. And almost every person who looks is going to say stress. Stress is definitely part of my story. I can absolutely see how stress plays a role. Now, this is 2 different sided. There's the stress coming in, and then there's also how you react to the stress. Both matter. Sometimes you cannot do anything about the stress coming in. All you can do is improve how you are reacting to it. Let me give you a quick story. I live in Minnesota. Minnesota is cold. I also live in a family with 5 guys. I've got my husband and 4 boys. In general, males run hotter. That means even without Hashimoto's playing a role in this, I would feel colder in a temperature where the rest of my family is comfortable, just based on the physiologic differences between males and females. Now you throw some hypothyroidism into the mix, and I feel even colder. And then you throw Minnesota into the mix, and in the winter, I am very cold. And that is not a stressor that I am going to change. That is a physiologic stressor on my body, that feeling cold, that cold weather. I can't change other than, if I were to up and move my whole family somewhere warmer. And that's not going to happen right now, or maybe ever. In fact, I left Minnesota to move to Alaska after college because Minnesota did not have enough snow for me. So I don't envision myself moving to a warmer climate. It is my job then to say, one of my biggest stressors over the course of the year is the temperature. Now, what can I do about the temperature? Because it's going to be cold every winter. I'm going to have about 9 months out of the year where it's really cold. And that just is what it is. Are you seeing how this also relates to your life? There are some stressors that you probably cannot change. What is it for you? Maybe it's your job. Maybe it's relationships. Maybe you have some relationships in your life that are going to be in your life and they're just stressful. What is it for you that is causing stress? Maybe it's your spiritual beliefs. I'm going to have an episode later this summer with a guest, and we're going to talk about spirituality. She is a doctor, and I love her perspective, especially on how your spiritual health impacts your physical health. It's going to be a very good conversation. So you cannot necessarily control the stressors coming in. So then you get to figure out how to deal with the stressors that are there. Now, for me, I honestly didn't realize for a couple winters that it was the cold. I had a suspicion and I knew I was cold. So I would put on layers. I would, get nice warm wool things and then I would get all itchy. And then that was a whole nother thing. Like I tried a whole bunch of different things in order to feel warmer. And then, what was it, 2 springs ago? I got a sauna, a far infrared sauna, and I absolutely love that thing. Absolutely love it. Now, yes, I do use it for the actual sauna benefits, like to increase my mitochondrial health and to sweat out toxins. Like those are definitely parts of a far infrared sauna. But for me in the winter, part of having that sauna is just to be able to warm up. At least once a day, so maybe sometimes twice a day. I would go into the sauna for just 3 to 5 minutes just to warm up so that I wasn't feeling cold to my bones because that is a physical stressor for me. And I know that. So I got to choose, okay, how am I going to deal with this? I'm going to warm up. It was not a cheap solution, but a very effective solution. And so at the end of this last winter, I was able to show my labs to my nurse practitioner, and she noted that they went up. I think my antibodies went up, but I was able to show her, okay, here are how I did the last 3 winters and compare that to this winter, and I did so much better. So for you, I'm asking, what are the areas of stress? How do you see stress coming into your life? And let's look at that through the 5 different perspectives. The 5 parts of the whole you are body, mind, spirit, diet, environment. You can have stress in any or all of those areas, and the stressors look a little different. So I already said cold is one of my biggest stressors, and that would be both body and environment. I live in an area where it is cold, and also it affects my body. Like I'm feeling cold to the bones. There are other stressors in all of those categories: body, mind, spirit, diet, environment. I'm going to point you to a couple different podcast episodes. I believe most of these have a blog post to go with them so that you can kind of dig into more. Also, of course, I cover it in Hashimoto's Decoded. Episodes 7 and 8 were my foundational episodes on stress. I talk about stress, your thyroid, Hashimoto's, how they go together. In episode 8, we shift to how you can manage stress. And this is more how you are reacting to it. Episode 24, I'm talking about your adrenal glands and chronic stress. Episode 34, we're talking about how your lymphatic system is also impacted by stress and how you can halt that damage. Episode 36 is giving you a tactile way to de-stress, and I talk about using art and crafts. It's a very interesting episode. At least I think so. Episode 40, if you're wondering what spiritual stress is, episode 40 is all about spiritual stress. So I should have all of those down in the show notes: episode 7, 8, 24, 34, 36, and 40. And throughout those, you should be able to really get a good picture of stress in general. But we all know we have stress. You know you have stress. I know I have stress. We all know that we should is in quotes, we should be able to do things about it. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. I'm sure you have heard that scrolling on your phone on social media is a stressor. I'm sure you've heard that. And you probably still do it. I do it. And if you don't, kudos to you. Good job. I have so many thoughts about social media on personal level. I know it's a time suck, but as far as my mission goes, I want to serve as many people as possible to help them realize that they can figure out their root causes, that there are things they can do about their Hashimoto's. They can address those root causes and the triggers. That is what I want every single person to understand. And if by me showing up on social media, more people get that message, then awesome. But if people aren't, clicking over to the podcast or blog from social media, which, to be honest, most people just scroll, they don't click through, then I wonder about if it's worth me continuing to post over there. So I would love to know, how did you find this podcast? Come over to our school community. It's Health with Hashimoto's. on Skool, Skool. That link will also be down in the show notes. And let me know how you found this podcast, because I want as many people as possible to discover this podcast so that they can figure out what is driving their symptoms, so they can stop guessing and start focusing on what matters most for their health. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. Please discuss any changes with your trusted healthcare provider. To take your next step, join our Skool community and explore the courses available there. You do not have to figure your health out alone. So that is Skool, Skool.com, and it is the Health with Hashimoto's community. I'll see you next time on the Health with Hashimoto's podcast.